Okay, we're live on the air. To those that are listening in, this is just going to be a very informal podcast. Just saying what I need to. This concerns what current situation Raw Down Rebound has as a channel and as a podcast right now. And, obviously the series that got me noticed on YT many eons ago, my Knight Rider review series Night Watch, is coming back as of Saturday, September 24, 2016, which then lines up perfectly with the 8th anniversary of the Season 1 opener, Knight in Shining Armor. I'm going to get the negative stuff or the more less than enthusiastic stuff. Given the changes and events that are going on YT at the moment with the demonetization thing, which I'm not going to get into because so many people have covered what they've needed to say. I think given the guidelines that RDR would have to adhere to if I was ever to get that channel partnered up again, it would mean going PG again. I've got no problem doing it whatsoever, but Oni has tried before, and it's just something... He says it's something he can't do, but I don't know. I think it just requires a little bit more effort on his part. That's not a knock and a dig because the guy's very chill. But we tried RDR going PG once before, and I thought it was working okay, but quite a few people were relieved when the censors were taken off, or restrictions for lack of a better word. So that's not happening any further. And I've seen with SmackView, just to address this now, that show's been quietly put on hiatus because I've noticed with the amount of views, nobody really cares. I think I've come to realize if it doesn't have only an L-man, nobody really gives 2 cents for SmackView. So it's a hard pill to swallow, but it is what it is. Now, Night Watch returning. The big question that is on most Knight Rider fans' lips, and possibly a few of my own fans, what made me bring Night Watch back this year specifically? There's actually a very good reason for this. If I had waited until this time next year to bring Night Watch back and go from the original Season 1 with the original pilot that aired on September 26 in 1982 at 9 p.m. only on NBC, I could have done it that way, but there lies in the problem, because in 2 years' time, it will be the 10th anniversary of SG, but it's the 35th anniversary of the original first season next year. And if I had done the 10th anniversary season of SG covering all the episodes, it would have clashed with the 35th anniversary of Season 2 of the original Knight Rider. So, to that end, I thought, let's just do something that makes complete and utter sense. Let's do SG first. Let's get that one written down and put out there. Because then, once that's done, it's not going to interfere with any of the other seasons of Knight Rider that I'm going to be covering for the next 5 years. Now, unlike the original version of Night Watch, where it was just continuous episode, issue after issue, this one is going to be a little bit more structured. It is going to be a seasonal format. Season 1 is going to have 18 issues. So there'll be 17 for the episodes going from obviously 1 to 17. But then we have an 18th episode, which covers the SG pilot, which aired on February 17, 2008 at 8 p.m. Was it 8 p.m. or was it 9 p.m.? Comment section below if I'm wrong. Chances are I am. Wouldn't be the first time either. That also aired on NBC, and it was Ben Silverman, who had been inspired by the live-action Transformers movie in 2007 to reignite Knight Rider to have a weekly show about shape-shifting cars. Now, there was always the little problem I had with Knight Rider SG, essentially being influenced by Transformers. The original Knight Rider is a trend setter. When you see shows like Street Hawk and Viper after it, this Knight Rider was a combination of, obviously, the original Knight Rider, a little bit of Fast and Furious, a little bit of the Bourne Identity, and Transformers. I tend to find, and this is something that a good friend of mine has said, people can buy into it more when it's more of an original product and not something that's just copying and paste from loads of other properties. And I think that did kind of not set too well with people. So, but despite the quirks and all the faults and foibles and flaws that SG had, I really enjoyed watching that back in 2008 and 2009 respectively. I still think to this day it should not have been cancelled. It should have been given a second season just so they could have improved and actually built on the formula that they were working on after the Torres administration. And just for those that did watch the original Night Watch, yes, I still will be referring to Alex Torres by that word this season. X-24 Rider, Marvel Rose, and Fenice will know exactly what I'm talking about. He's on. And then, of course, I'm going to get on to when is After the Storm coming back? Well, that's a good question, actually. Because we know Season 2 of Thunderbirds Are Go is coming along on October 31, which ties in nicely with this year's Thunderween. Just for context, that was the Thunderbirds Are Go social media pages that came up with that. I have no responsibility to that whatsoever. So, I'm not taking responsibility on that one. But that's starting at the end of October, which in a lot of ways is actually a nice little advertisement for kids to put on their Christmas list for this year. So as a smart ploy on ITV's part. So I will be watching with intriguement. Hopefully we get some more answers and clues as to what has happened to Jeff Tracy, because for those that have seen the first season, Jeff is missing in action. It's not known if he's alive and held up somewhere or if he is actually passed on. So we don't know. But it would be nice to be given some more clues and some more hints as to his whereabouts, as I've mentioned in Mission 5 of Season 2's Before the Storm. And that's another little thing. Some people have actually asked me, what gave me the idea to call the before and after shows for Thunderbirds Are Go, where I'm building up to the season and then actually reviewing the episodes. Well, it's simple. Before the Storm is just, as it says, it's just before it. And After the Storm The rescue operation is like a storm, so you're just talking about the aftermath of it. So that's pretty much self-explanatory. I know some people are very patient with the movie reviews as of late. I am intending to get season 7 finished up around Christmas time, because I'm actually going to get into this format now of, like I've done for the new Night Watch that's coming out. I'm actually going to get a full season planned out, written, vocal recorded, do videos, not so much skits, but do live segments and have that all rendered and scheduled, so that when it's ready, bang, 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 they're out. That is going to be the plan going forward. And it does seem to pay dividends, because that's one of the nice perks of having scheduled releases, because then you don't have to worry about too many other little things, because then you can get on with other little projects, which a lot of people noticed during June. I didn't seem to be putting out as many uploads as I would have normally done, but I was focusing a lot of time on getting Fast Memories done, which, for anybody has been a major Sonic the Hedgehog fan, or Hedgehogite for the better part of a quarter of a century, his 25th anniversary was a big deal, in the same context as how his 20th anniversary was a big deal. It's just this time around, I've learned a lot about myself as a writer, as a producer and an editor, of how to do things and how not to do things with regards to how I present the product now. So I'd say I had the same passion and enthusiasm from when I did Blue Reflections and its improved version, thank you, in 2012 with Blue Reflections 2.0. I just now have a better foresight and a better way of actually presenting the image that I have in my head of how I want it to look, and then people can actually see how I see it, for lack of a better description. But yeah, like I say, I'm not particularly too thrilled about putting RDR and SmackView on an undetermined hiatus, but with the situation that's going on YouTube right now, and the fact that RDR just can't stay PG, I think, and the way that, and also with how the WWE is at the moment, and given how we were kind of unintentionally driven off, especially covering Raw each week. I think towards the end of WrestleMania, towards the end of the WrestleMania season this year, I think some of the stories and the payoffs on Raw and SmackDown were just as bad, if not worse, than what happened at the end of 2013 and then into WrestleMania 30 season in 2014. So it's real hard to say, but I think if we had gone into Survivor Series season for this year, or even SummerSlam season, going into seasons 3 and 4 respectively, for all we know, it could have gone better. I mean, it could have, but there's a whole, slurry of other things going on in real life that I'm not going to get into here, folks, because that's Oni's private business, that's L-Man's private business, and for me, I was still raring to go, but they had other priorities and other things to take care of in their respective real lives, and I respect that. And there's no point in me doing RDR as it is, because RDR is a 3-man show primarily. It's the way it's always worked, whether it was Weavile as the third man or L-Man with his rather warped sense of dark humor, but it's just the nice complementary dynamic between the three of us. I mean, Oni is that guy who will talk first, make apologies later. I'm the straight and level-headed guy in the middle, trying to be like the Jim Ross and just call just call the reviews. And L-Man is like a creepier and darker version of Just Keep This in Mind. You do not know what L-Man is going to say next, and that is the greatest thing about it. And he was that missing jigsaw piece to when we went into the 4th season, because we've all left for IRL reasons. I'm not going to get into it. Jay Seeger had to leave for education. I fully respect that and applaud that, because your education should come first. And we bring in L-Man. Best to my knowledge, the guy had no experience whatsoever of doing wrestling podcasts. And we bring him in, and he's like Oni's darker cousin, for lack of a better word. And there's me trying to keep a straight face at the opposite end on the microphone. And gonna be honest, from season 4 to season 8, that's probably the most amount of fun I've actually ever had as a podcaster, doing Skype panels and whatnot. So, Oni, L-Man, if you actually do keep tabs on my channel, I just want to thank you guys for giving me some of the most fun 2 to 3 years I've ever had doing the original RDR. And probably subsequently, even with RDR Next, where we just went longer. We kind of brought back the aftermatch in a sense, but rather than make it its own thing, I just turned it into the off script, where we just say everything off the cuff, just read news that's flying around and whatnot. And that's something I've considered doing, something like Sean's View Entertainment, where he just gives his opinion on little bits and pieces that pop up in the news. But I don't know if I'm gonna take after what he's done, because that's his thing. I just try and do something a little bit different. Just for context, I have not seen Backlash as of yet, but I do know that your new blue women's champion, I'm not going to call it the SmackDown women's title, because that's just too long. I know, a little bit of hypocrisy on my part for preferring the WWE title to be the WWE Undisputed title, which I think it should have been in the first place, but that's neither here nor there. I just think call it the Blue Women's Championship, because that's essentially what it is. And the SmackDown Tag Team titles, I know L-Man is going to be doing jumping jacks because of the fact that Heath Slater won. And that's actually a good thing for Slater, because he's been overlooked and underrated for way too long in the WWE. I think the most notable thing that he has done since losing the tag titles with Justin Gabriel of then The Core in 2011 was being part of 3MB, which was a joke stable in its own right. But that's just my opinion. Take it for what you will. But for him to be tag team champions with Rhino, it's just like, you're acknowledging the guy again. You're actually seeing that he actually has talent, which he's always had. It's just a people just think, oh, he's Heath Slater, he's a joke character, let's just make fun of him. And I'm like, yeah, and we're, there's so many joke characters I haven't got the time to list off. I'm real happy for Becky Lynch, because that girl has worked hard for everything that she's wanted out of the WWE. I mean, Raw has its women's champion in Charlotte. That's great. But now Becky Lynch has a little something that says, hey, you're worth something, and we're going with you as our champion of the women's division. And AJ Styles, WWE Undisputed Champion. I'm actually kind of surprised, if I'm being completely honest, because this is another former TNA guy. And Wacky Mackey doesn't usually put over guys that went to TNA and then came back. I mean, two examples. Jeff Hardy and Christian. Christian comes back after, I think it was a 4 to 5 year absence. Now, granted, he won the ECW title, and he was a damn good ECW champion as well, I might add. But his 2 reigns as World Heavyweight Champion, he was just thrown around almost like he was an afterthought. And that heel turn, 5 years on, I still think it's stupid. To quote Nick Nugent, this does not rock. You know, Christian, a guy who, you know, scratched and clawed for everything. Not as successful as his brother Edge. A lot of people forget this. They were actually billed as brothers back in the day. Not best friends, brothers. Now, don't get me wrong. Edge worked for everything he had. No question. But Christian was so underrated, and he deserved more. But via the same token, he's still a former 3-time world champion in WWE. Just being able to get it once is difficult enough, but to say he had 3 world titles, hey, it's all good. So yeah, I'm hoping AJ's reign is not too short. I still think Dean Ambrose's reign was cut real slim, because it's been, what, 3 months? If that. I mean, it's not a short title reign, but I think he deserved a little bit more. But that's coming from the perspective of a slightly biased Dean Ambrose fan. So, you know, take that as you will. But yeah, that is the update from Dynamic Night Entertainment. I might do this as a weekly or bi-weekly thing. Who knows? But yeah, just putting the word out, what's coming. And I think it's like anything. Everything comes around in full circle. So maybe one day RDR will come back in some form. Maybe it'll be SmackView. Who knows? But one thing's for certain. Next Saturday, on September 24, 2016, 8 p.m. British time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 12 noon Pacific Standard Time, Night Watch is back. And just as I have always said throughout the years as the voice of Night Watch, good night from the night. And thank you for listening.